do. I wrote it one time, and we were in one of them cold snaps there that went on for about 2 weeks, where there's not a water bowl that wants to run, and the tractor won't start, and the horse manure freezes before it hits the floor of the barn. And I thought to myself, man, I don't know, this is hard. I thought, how did our ancestors do this with next to nothing? And we got all the modern conveniences. It's bad. So I went up to the house, and when my fingers thawed out, I wrote this poem for all those folks that came before us. This is when winter sets in. Well, when winter sets in and it really turns cold, I think of the folks from the days of old. Oh, they must have been resilient and hardy when the temperature dipped down past -40. In a soddy, a dugout, or a little log house, they lived off canned meat from the deer and the grouse. When the roads drifted in and they just couldn't leave for the desperate supplies that they had to retrieve. At times in the 30s, there just was no hay. So they'd store up the thistles for the winter, they say. Milking cows in a dress, my wife's poor grandmother. Underneath were the long johns she borrowed from brother. Well, my aunt was just wee, but she sure does remember that old cold farmhouse when you get into December. Jars of hot water at the foot of your bed, and an old cowhide to cover your head. And you made darn sure you were the last one in line for that warm outhouse seat come morning time. And how that old wind would blow snow through the cracks. You tied a rope to the barn because it covered your tracks. Well, Ed told me at night, when it was clear and cold, that you could hear the sleigh bells ringing on up the road. And the neighbors would come for some cards and a shot, and the drink was homebrew more often than not. And you didn't miss curling, my Aunt Verna said. Park your team at the livery where they would get fed, and after the game, when it was time to head back, you get under the blanket and you pitch in the slack. When that cutter would stop, you'd be at your door, ready for a fire and froze to the core. Well, Papa had the store, and he served folks around. In 30 below, he could be found, with his black team hitched on up and gone for the mail. Then he'd bring back the goods that he had for sale. And he didn't stay home, though it was hard to get through. He went and came back because folks needed him to. Well, they chopped water holes, hauled cord loads of wood, sold cream to buy groceries, and did what they could. Froze fingers and toes to carve out this land, to make their own place and have their own brand. And some didn't make it. They fell to the cold. Don't forget those tough folks, let their story be told. God bless the horses, the men and the women, for all that they did and all that they've given to tame this tough country for those that's here now. Though it didn't come easy, they did it somehow. So when it hits -30 in this world's modern day, don't pity yourself. Think what our ancestors would say. The Wi-Fi won't work, or the new diesel truck. And you think that you're having such terrible luck? I'll just think of the folks from the days of old, when the winter sets in and it really turns cold.